So what's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night Quantum Studies session. Today is August 9th. Can't believe we're already 2 weeks into August. I feel like August still just started, um, which is wild to say. How do you play a big impulse candle like the one we just saw? Uh, okay, I can go over that a little bit. Right, impulse candle like this. Usually, I will wait for a pullback. Get rid of that. All right, I'll wait for a pullback. You did have this break and retest over here, like played out beautifully. All right, that quantum purple here for 7 o'clock. And then you had this one. So you had this impulse candle break multiple quantum candles, where they're no longer on my chart. So there's a lot of test zones. So you always have to be very cautious. Impulse candles get a lot of retest, right? So you have that initial retest zone, you have the secondary retest zone, and this is kind of the area I would love to see it hold. Obviously, you saw where we got stuck, right? You got stuck in between the two breaks. So you got trapped in here, and then it made a little secondary push. And then we had a peak. We have another resistance area up here at 891. We got that nice little repel zone, break and retest, shot back down. Another one. This one just broke and melted. Now we got repel zones fighting each other, and you want to be careful here, right? If you guys are using gravity, got to be careful playing against repel zones. We also have these 5-minute levels. So we know that this area here can get super duper choppy, like super duper choppy. But that's what I do. Like I usually, and the rule of thumb for me, this goes the same with quantum candles, right? Be cautious with these impulse candles. They can go either direction. Sometimes you'll see an impulse candle continuation. Sometimes you'll see an impulse candle get fully retested all the way down. Sometimes you get little retests like this, but we had quantum candle guidance here. We had 1, 2. We even had this one right here. I didn't mark this guy right here. We had 3. Right, so 3 different retest zones. We had this initial break. All right, break, retest, break, retest. Obviously, we had that barrier. Then you have that impulse push, and then you had this retest, right, back and forth, little bleed through. Right, this would 54 would have been the next retest area. Pulled itself back up, back and forth, back and forth. We are still in an uptrend on the 5-minute. So this is again, right, shorts. You can play them to levels, swing points, right? But be cautious because shorts can be short-lived, right? If you zoom out, you can clearly see the trend on the 5, right? You got 1, 2, 3 blues on the 5 that need to be broken before there's a strong flip. All right, on the 2-minute, we've been respecting the blues fairly well. This was the only bleed through they had that flipped, right? Over here, we had this little blue here that broke. We had this one down here. Do I have my 2-minute quantum lines off? No, they're on. I guess I just didn't mark this one right here. Yeah, that guy. Did I not mark my 2 minutes? Ah, I guess I didn't mark my 2-minute blues, guys. Wow. All right, well, let's go with it. Okay, so when I have 2 blue candles like this, I'm going to put the furthest one that has not been broken. Because if this one breaks, right, we still need to break the one behind it. These 2 are fairly close, but not fully. So I'm going to leave those. That one broke by the tippy tip. So I'm going to leave that one alone. We had this one. And then we had this one. You see that? Those nice touch points there. This one. Yep. You see that little pocket right there? I don't need to mark this one. It's right inside that little pocket. This one right here. These were all broken. These are all deleted. Now that I'm kind of going through, boom. Delete. Delete. You guys can see, right? Look at that touch point on that one. Very nice. And that one. Let's keep going. Oh, look at that. 1230. Got a couple right here. Let's keep going, and now we're here. And still in a very, very bullish uptrend. That's a tippy tip break. Golden NVG on the 2 here with the blue. That was, if anybody took this A++ setup at 6:40 p.m., right? I've said it during Power Hour. Anytime I see an A++ with a golden NVG, I'm gonna click buy. I'm sorry, or sell, right? If it's a gold, if it's there it goes again. If it's a golden NVG on top of a purple candle, I'm gonna click sell. I'm gonna do it, right? And it's usually the risk is very, very, very controlled on those. So this was a nice one. And now we're just testing. It's continuing to break these purples, so the uptrend is still strong. Uptrend is still strong until we see the opposite occur. All right, what's up, Easy? How do you play a big impulse? So hopefully that answered your question, Easy. Yeah, and we are gonna be a new shop, so be cautious. Be very cautious, but dang, this thing is still long. And I got 2 runners running from this pullback all the way down here. I played that golden NVG with the 2-minute level there. Got in with 4 micros. I just have 2 running here. And this short was nice. I did catch a little bit of that. Didn't catch the whole move. I trailed it really close. Took me out before the whole move happened. You delete the levels formed from quantum candles as soon as they're broken? Yes, Easy. I do. As soon as they're broken, I delete them. Right, I want to see. You could leave them on, right, and see the retest. But as soon as they're broken, I already know, right? The 73 up here. This is where I want it to break. Want it to break, retest, and go. We want to break these levels, right? We're still fighting these 5-minute level, 2-minute level. This is a stack level, triple stack. So hard barrier for it to get through. You're seeing it rejecting right now. So we get choppy around here, right? We just broke 1 repel zone, so the repel zones are opening up. Went through 1, broke this one, rejecting on this one with those levels. And that's where you can get like some back and forth, a little bit of back and forth. Okay. Anybody new here that has any questions? Not that many of you guys here today, 16 of us, which is fine. A little bit more intimate. If you guys have some questions you'd like to ask, anything anybody has any uncertainty with, but let's watch and see if this 5-minute candle can hold that 66, right? This whole area and push to challenge, right? We did have this 5-minute push up here, continuing to make higher highs. For obviously the 6 o'clock one up here needs to break and then kind of might do a quick wick and then retest the trend. But for the time being, right, blues are being respected. The uptrend is still holding up. This was a nice touch point at 6:15 at the bottom of the cloud at about 8:05 psychological level plus this blue candle here. Let's see what we do here, if we wants to keep going or not. Da-da-da. Any questions from anybody? Let's see, does this 5-minute want to close up here and keep going? I did trail one of my runners got trailed out there on that pullback. I did trail it close because of that level. So if like some people like to ask me about trailing, I do, like if I have 2, right, I'm gonna get 1 out around the level, right, and usually I will trail the last one a little bit further behind. I want to see if it holds that 66, so I might be trailing it like halfway just to give it some extra breathing room, see if we can get a continuation push to a new higher high here over 83, then potentially over 900. You're ready for that retest all the way up to the 3049? That was a nice touch point that last time, Scott. That rejection on that candle was like perfect. When you say you want to see a reaction at a spot, do you watch a candle or something? I actually watch, Rosie, I actually watch the Super Dom. The Super Dom is on Tradovate and on Wealth Charts. Oh, you're good. You're good, Rosie. And that's what I'm looking for reaction. On Wealth Charts, you could actually look at the candles. The candles give you some nice wicks, and you can see the movement of the candle real time. Like you can see the candle go wow. Like if you follow me long enough, you'll hear me say the Dom's going crazy, right? When I say the Dom is going crazy, it's usually a shift in speed. Like when the shift is intense, usually that's when I'll say the Dom is going crazy. It's usually in a certain speed, and then they'll kick it like 2-3 times the speed out of nowhere, and that usually occurs around um, interest, like areas of interest, if you want to call it that, right? Levels, orbs, sauce boxes, repel zones, things like that. And that's when I say I want to see reaction, right? You can use wicks, you can see wick rejections, you can use those as potential reactions as well, right? We hit this level to the T at 871. That was a nice reaction here, right? The wick on this one was kind of equal, so not the best. This one was a decent one. This one looked like it was a little bit more bullish, but again, we couldn't break that level. And there's that nice little pullback to that 56 level. Okay. And look at that bounce from 56. Bounced up so far, but you still, right? That's the reactions I'm looking for. This is very tight now. So these instances, oh, they're freaking, I gotta fix this thing. In these instances, right, you're gonna get trapped between these levels, right? If it breaks 56, then you'll go retest 46. Breaks 46, you'll retest that blue candle here at 39, then potentially down 31, 24, 21, and so on and so forth. But you tend to see these kind of reactions near the levels or near the quantum candles, and those reactions are either wicks, the Dom, right? One of the two. That was dramatic. So if more movement, you have to be cautious because I kind of break it down a lot in the course, a lot in detail with the Dom actually present. There's specific movements. So you want to see the reaction and then a hard rejection. The reaction and a hard rejection. You don't want to see it react and then pull slightly and then pull right back to the level and pull slightly and pull back to the level. The longer it stays close to that level, the more ready it potentially is to break it. So each time, like this initial way, it hit it, it rejected hard. The second time it hit it, pulled back a little bit, kind of stayed. The second one pulled back. Tested it again, pulled back. Tested up here, this one closed, but immediately next candle pulled back. And that's kind of what I'm looking at for these rejection points. Okay. And those of you that are new, right? Candle crossing in front, be careful, right? We got a signal, but that candle, the cross formed in front of the candle, the move was already technically in progress on testing this level. So until we break a level, we're not going anywhere. We have to break this level. This is a 2-minute level. So for me, right, these on the 1-minute chart, these dotted lines, 2-minute levels, dashed lines, 1, solid 5. I don't think I have any freaking solid lines on my chart right now. Okay, on my 2-minute chart, the dotted will be 2-minute levels, solid will be 5. On my 5-minute chart, the solids are 5-minute, and the dotted, or the dashed, I'm sorry, those are 15-minute levels that hold up as well. All right, so we did break that 5-minute level, that whole retest. That's a whole retest of this area, right? Where we more retested the 2-minute level than this, right? 5 minutes have deeper retests, right? Deeper pullbacks. But we are trapped. Now we got a quantum range on the 1 minute. We are trapped between all these levels. We're just surrounded. It's just going to go back and forth. We also have the gravity zones where, right? And that gravity, sorry, not gravity zones, the repel zones, where it's just repelling back and forth with the levels in play. So super choppy here, back and forth until it breaks a level and breaks that repel zone, potentially challenges 890, or does the opposite, breaks below 56, challenges 46, and keeps pushing towards each level down below. All right, everything with quantum is basic support and resistance. Quantum candles, resistance on the top for purple, support on the bottom for blue. Levels, when they're attached to quantum candles, makes these areas stronger. All right, I like confluences. I know people get kind of like, overloaded on certain things. You don't have to have everything. All right, I'm a psychopath. I can read everything and anything. And it doesn't matter what the market's doing, right? But when you have golden MVG plus an A++ plus a repel zone, it's just like, I'm just gonna press the damn button. But right below that, I would have gotten stopped out. That simple. Well, look at this, right? Rejecting that level, rejected the repel zone. We're pushing down another repel zone now, right? But we still need to close below that 2-minute level at 856. Looks like it's trying to with an A++ setup. Then we're gonna gun it for 46 potentially, below 46, 38, 31, and maybe back towards that MVG right here. It is trying to flip to a downtrend on the 2-minute. The 1-minute doesn't look that clean. T5 for Tokyo Open, and we got 5 minutes for Tokyo Open. So that also explains the choppiness. Thank you for that, scat. All right, Javi, would be a reason I don't have the 56 line. Or are you charting on me? Okay, you have the 2-minute turned off. All right, awesome, Bob. Glad you figured that out. All right. All right, we broke through the 56, and look at that, right to 46. Look at that, repel zone breaking out, right? Breaks a level. Didn't retest it at all, just retested 52. Broke it, boom, to the next level. We break under 46. Boom, we'll push down to 38. All right, breaks to 38. Then you test 31, 24, 21, all the way. If we break below 21, you have room all the way to 806. The more levels you are surrounded by, the more chop you are potentially going to get trapped in. So you want to be very cautious. You don't want to press long at a level. I'm not going to press long at 871. I'm not going to press short at 846. Potentially where you're going to get chopped up. No anticipation, right? Well, there's a break. Let's see if we've gun it for the bottom of this candle, 39 now. Right? We're fairly close, but you want it to stay below that level break. And there goes. So close. All right, the closer it gets, the more reaction you'll see. The Dom's not looking like it's pulling up too much. So you should get a potential tap on it, and there it is. All right, there it is. And now below that, closure below that, we'll test 31. We'll test this MVG. Break below that MVG, candle closure. Then you continue to go potentially down. There you go. That's just melting through. There's the MVG fill. There's a little bit of a wick. We see if the Dom's reacting here at all. A little bit, not a whole lot. Still not super, doesn't look like it's super strong. There's a little bit more of a reaction. There's a speed up. Okay, there's a shift in speed right there. Did close above that level. That shift in speed, though, is looking like it's rejecting 32.33. So if it fails to stay above 31.50, it's going to go to that next area at 24.50, then 20. That 5-minute did fill this little MVG I had below too. This little tiny one right there. Never mind. 2-minute TMFI token. Yep, 5 minutes testing this guy right here. Need a 5-minute candle closure underneath 30. Then we can continue to make this little push. All right, for now, 1 minute looks like it flipped to a downtrend. Broke this. Expect some form of retest to happen eventually. But again, Tokyo's opening in 1 minute. An influx of volume is going to come in. So there's going to be a little bit of a reaction. Either it's going to come in and just dump, or it's going to come in and pull up, test the structure. Right, test the trend. So it could test up here, could test this break at 40. It's got a few areas it could potentially retest, or it could just come in and just say, fuck, we're selling. Or I gotta careful my language. I get hit on YouTube just a little bit on the language. All right, so let's see what it wants to do. All right, so this is broken, that is gone. This is not broken just yet. That is still active. T minus 20 seconds for Tokyo. Tokyo opens up. I would like to see if it holds above this 31.50 and does push up to test something. A 5-minute holding as well. But we do have some barriers to look out for. We could get a retest rejection. We have these barriers up. If it closes below, Okay, there it is, Tokyo. Zero strength for push up, but let's see. Bounce right off that 24. This did break. Well, this is gone. The bounce up looking very weak. It's looking like it's struggling to break 30. Huge volume coming in. There's another repel zone. All right, zero pull up. Let's see if this holds, continues this bearish move. Holds, it has to close below each level. Remember, any market session open does not care about setups. Or I have to wait to see what it wants to hold. What does it want to test? Any opening setup is almost a gamble. Almost a gamble. So I always wait. What do you want to do here? Looks like it's holding 24. Has to pop back over 31. All right. Has to pop back over 31. And then you get that push to retest. But for now, we're just kind of reacting a little bit to that repel zone. Could not hold over 31 just yet. So that's 40 seconds. There's another attempt. Another rejection. And I'm seeing the DOM going crazy up here in the mid 30s. So a lot of resistance up here. That 33 area, I saw it earlier. We just rejected it again. Looks like we're going to continue our merry way to test further levels down. 2 minute needs to close well below both of these. You could retest 20 and 28, but let's see if it just continues to melt here. This is the uptrend right here. This 810. Breaks through that, breaks through 806. We're going to continue each push. And remember, market likes to pull up and retest a little bit. There's the break of that level. Will it retest or not? Here's a tap of 806. A little bit of a bounce, very weak. Yep, there's that flip. There's that break. That one needs to close below 806 next. All right, you got two retest areas, 820, 830. Looks like it ripped through 820. There's 830. Is it reacting here again? Yes, it did react a little bit there. And there's your rejection at 830. All right, there's your rejection at 830, but now you need to break back under 820. It's a fun little game. Can't break back under 820. It reclaims. All right, if it breaks over 830, then it's gonna potentially push. But let's see if it rejects again. Needs to break back below 820. Does the DOM continue to react in that 30 area, in the mid 30 area or not? All right, there's a pull up. Still a little bit of speed up at 32, but that pullback was very, very small. Yep, so here's another pull up and another rejection at that 33. But that pull up looks, yeah. Okay, so if anybody's looking at the DOM, again, I can't really fully break it down too much, right? But those pullbacks, right? You're making higher highs and things like that. So the pullbacks get weaker and weaker, and then you pull right back up, and then you pull back again, and you pull right back up. That is the sign that it doesn't want to continue to go in that direction. So let's see if this goes to retest this area up here, if it can hold above that 833, 830 area. But it looks like it's pulling right back down below. Candle has to close above. It failed to close above. And now we continue to potentially go back down or not. Nope, it's just going to range in here. We need to break back below 20 still. So for now, this is just ranging. Look at that. 30, 30, 35, 33. There's your pullback. You scalp that long contrarian, be very careful, man. I mean, if you caught it from down here, great. In here, this is the center. All right, this is the center. Like it broke through 20, retested 30. They're still resisting that mid 30. Those pullbacks are getting smaller and smaller though. That third pullback that just occurred was a little bit deeper. So I'm not fully sold though that it's really picking a direction just yet. You want this to still stay below this 30 on the 5. All right, we had a clean bounce off that bottom 800 area. We want it to stay below 830 on the 5. and this downtrend should continue if it's truly gonna be a flip on the downtrend, right? The 1 minute did pull down, but again, right, what I'm looking for is where is it gonna retest to make its new lower high? And I'm kind of looking at this 50. If it can hold below 35, but 35 could be, this right here could easily be, right, your new low as well. But I want to see it break back below 20. I feel like this thing wants to go test up deeper though. Again, I could be absolutely wrong. There's nothing clear right now unless we close above 35 and we hold this 5 minute blue. Yeah. No, there's your blue. There's your little blue candle guy for that push. I took a nibble at that 8:30 hold over here. Just a nibble though. I'm just having a little fun. There was nothing clear there. It did look like it wanted to go test this area for a lower high potential. Just a little nibble. So here's where we would see if this is gonna flip. Failed bullish move. Potential. Potential for a failed bullish move. But it needs to come all the way back down. For now, I got one runner running. Again, like I just entered it with 2 micros just very lightly. There's that push to that 60 area. I'm letting the runner do its thing where I'm not going to flip short anywhere. It's going to take me out and I'm just going to let it do its thing, right? Just got trailed out right there on that rejection at 61. Just got trailed out. That one runner. Just added a little bit to this account over here. I think I added like 70 bucks, I think 60 bucks. I don't even know. I don't even remember what it was at, but these are the 2 accounts that I'm playing with at the moment. So this move is the Asia market open. Yeah, this is Tokyo right here. This is Tokyo, 8 o'clock. I'm looking for it to test levels just like MOC. Okay, so a lot of people have questions about MOC. MOC is very basic level testing, right? Is it gonna close above or below a level? And I'm gonna enter the trade based on where the level's at. So Friday's MOC, right? It tested a level at 92 and I entered at that level. That's simple. There was nothing complicated about that. Once it pulled up, the play was already in motion. Pulled up and then I got trailed out. Immediately went back down to retest the level, bounced a little bit, pulled up a little bit, went back down, pulled up again. You know, MOCs on Fridays, especially if the market moves really well. If power hour moves well, MOC tends to be a dud. Wow. I got taken out of that long just for it to keep going. But whatever, it doesn't matter, right? I don't care. I caught my little nibble. But there's a nice push. Psychological levels added with quantum levels, same kind of idea as orb mixed with quantum, P2P mixed with quantum, saucebox mixed with quantum. It's kind of the same idea, right? Any kind of area like that, 800 is psychological level. You had a level at 806. Pulled up. You had an A++ set up off that bounce. Looked good. Was a little risky because you had levels in the way. But there's the explosive move. There's your nice little push up. It went way deeper than I thought. I didn't think it was going to go this deep. The 5 minute is still in an uptrend though. Right? The 5 minute held the green. Did make a lower low though, right? It did kind of, that wick right here kind of effed up this little swings here, but whatever. Right? This one's broken. Right? This one's gone. This one held. And now we need to see, is it going to break and hold up here on this 5 minute candle closure? All right, 15 minutes. Did you ride that thing, contrarian? Or did I scare you? Don't let me scare you. Like, if you guys see something, take it, right? Don't let anybody, especially like us, okay? Because I know you guys watch us and we're going to say things. And if you have a good setup that you see and you like, stick to it. If you lose, you have a stop loss, you lose, right? If you don't, you don't. It's that simple, right? I test setups all freaking day. I lose plenty of trades. But again, my sizing is under control. So when I lose, right, it's not usually going to be big unless I YOLO. Usually I have YOLO accounts and fun accounts that I'm usually just like, screw it. They tend to be like apexes and cheap accounts. But like most of my serious accounts, I don't mess around with them. Power hour is like super chop, like super. When I get bored, like I always tell my wife, I'm gonna have one or two accounts that I'm just gonna just have fun with if I'm bored. So you might see me like kind of like, and she gets mad at me, and then she gets mad at me because she's like, "Which one did you blow?" I'm like, "No." And there'll be days where I don't blow any, but there's days where I'm just like clicking because I'm bored, and there's no clean setups, there's nothing. I'm just bored. You don't want to get to that point, all right? When you get to a point where you have like 30, 40 accounts, you have some fun accounts. You just do. I have fun accounts. Dang, this thing is blasting off. Oh, look, a golden MVG just appeared. You took that scat. Anybody catch that? Or did I scare you guys? Did anybody catch that? You're in it, Rosie. Nice. You got that, Raheem. There you go. Good job, guys. That's what I want to hear, right? I want to see that you guys are not afraid. This is about just going with it. Click it, take the trade. You know where your stop loss is going to be. You know where your confluences are. That bounced clean off that 806. A plus plus setup off of that. And now this thing is just launching. Look at that 5-minute candle closure. Look, you just had a break and retest right here. Dangerous one though, because that stop loss will be humongous, but you could just play the hold of that 65, maybe 5-10 point stop loss, catch that little retest, boom, right? That break on the 5-minute, right? That closed above, retested 69, and then took off for 36 points. That's actually crazy, right? When you see things like that. Just broke this 1-minute purple right here, right? But it's come back and retest quite a bit. It can retest this. It can still retest this area. You got your 2-minute as well, right? Your retest. Actually, your 2-minute gave you a break and retest as well. Look at this. Multiple time frame break and retest. 869, break and retest. Look at that. Break 69. Your 2-minute would have been the best setup out of the three. The 2-minute setup would have been the best. Same plays. Nothing changes, guys. So same break and retest. Purple candle break and retest. Stop loss would have been like 3-5 points. I would have given it more room than that. I would have probably put it like 5, 6, 7 points. All right, look at that. Beautiful trade. All right, you're initially going for 10, and then your runner. Or sometimes this is what happens to me, right? I can't even put my TP because it just takes off. I get in on the retest. I know where my stop is, and then I can't even put my TPs because it just takes off. So guess what? I see 4 micros, up $200. I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna get out 2. I'm gonna let 2 run. That's how fast these plays are. Look at that. That turned into a freaking 40-point explosion just about. Right? 2-minute break and retest. Same idea. Always the same thing. Nothing changes. Break and retest. Or you also have this guy over here. This one didn't retest. Golden MVG is always, when you have golden MVG as an added confluence, it's a no-brainer for me. It's always a no-brainer for me. 5-minute level is trying to form a level here. Okay, so anyone that's new, the levels are created by the quantum action lines. Okay, so the level that's going to be created would be right here at 864, 865. That's what you want to see hold. You do not want to see it pull back all the way down there to test that level. Personally, I wouldn't want to see that because it might make that area weak. I would love to see it pull back and retest, but not get anywhere near where this potential level is going to form for continuation if you're holding on to a runner. All right, Tiffy, let's see. I get a little confused with the MVG. If it shows up golden and below a candle, it means the candle is going up. If the golden MVG appears above the candle, is going down. Yeah, so the golden NVGs, right, when you see them, okay, if it's below, that's a bullish NVG. So you're watching for this to hold. You want to see this area get held. So you do not want to see it fill and then reject violently. You don't want to see it fill and close below. That would be a failed bullish move. All right. If that occurs, you could, if you have room, potentially short it, right? But if I don't have room, let's say, okay, I'm going to say 66, 65 to 42. It's room. There's room there for potentially 10. It's tight. It's going to be a quick move, but I want this to hold. If I'm going to look at, let's just say just MVG by itself. Okay, just MVG by itself, right? I'll begin an entry right above the candle, and I just want to see that thing hold. So my stop loss would probably be just a break below, right? Do you get wicked out sometimes? Yes, you do. You do get wicked out sometimes. Sometimes you'll see it wick, pull back up, close above, and then go, right? I re-enter those, but I do count them as strikes. So I have my simple rules, right? 3 strikes and I'm out. So if I took strike 1, I get back in, and if I survive it, no, strike 2. If I take strike 2, that's where I stop, and then I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to play this area right now because I just got stopped out twice. Let me wait for the last setup that I would potentially take this last chance on, and so on and so forth. But these, right, just alone, they're great. But when you have confluences, even better. Even better. I think a lot of people still sleep on the golden MVGs, but these are the potential beginnings of a trend flip or trend continuation. These are insanely, insanely powerful when you combine them with like an A++. Right? We saw those in Power Hour a couple days ago, right? Friday or Thursday. I was like, ooh, golden MVG A++. I'm pressing buy here. I'm pressing buy here. It's a no-brainer, and it took off for like 30, 40 points. That's always a repeatable pattern. Okay, and Tiffy, to add to that, right? Be careful playing them as fills, right? You can play it as a directional, like it's gonna go test that area. And I know Max loves to play fills on them, especially during New York. Okay, he will play out the thing is following me. He will play them as fills in New York, and yes, right. I know that it's gonna go up and it's gonna test this area, but majority of the time they are resistance points if they're above, and they are support points if they're below. So they won't always catch a fill. So when I play a short towards an MVG, a golden MVG, as soon as it starts getting close to it, I will trail it really close because I know what's potentially coming. If it does not fill it, it's about to bounce, right? Same thing on the opposite end. As it's approaching that bearish gold MVG, I'm going to trail it really close because I know what could potentially happen when it gets up there. It'll either wick fill it like super fast and reject, or it might not even make it and then pull right back down. Yeah, so be very careful with those, right? Use them as added confluence for potential continuations, right? Or potential strong points of flip of trends. Strike 3 equals full port. No, strike 3 does not equal full port. Yes, I have to be careful with fills, and I think that's why I would get confused. I assumed it would always fill. They do fill at a high rate. Again, I don't even have the table on my chart anymore because I used to look at the table, right? I don't even have the MVG on freaking my Woman. Oh my gosh. All right, let's take a look at the table. Right, there's a table, right? And you're gonna see, oh, look at that, golden MVG right there, right? You're gonna see the fill rate. It's a high fill rate. We know this. Like I know the statistics to all this, right? But I know that there's gonna be still gaps. Like, look at this, right? 99.9% of golden MVGs get filled, but they usually get filled during New York. They don't always get filled during Asia, right? During New York, because the New York volume tends to have strong push, right? I was gonna say gravitational. That's kind of the way I explain the sauce boxes or the gravity zones, right? They have strong gravitational pull because they want to get tested. Those wickless candles want to get filled, and you're gonna see potential reaction around. But remember, right? A wickless candle is a strong potential move in that direction. So expect, right? If you're playing a bearish MVG that's above a golden one, expect some sort of reaction when you get close to it, because that was a flip of trend at some point, and it was a strong enough to not get filled. So it's almost like quantum levels. Same thing. I always tell people, don't use quantum levels as a TP. Use them as a guide point, right? If I'm in with 3 micros if I'm in with 4 micros, I took 2 out, I have 2 runners, I'm going to let one go close to that level, and I'm going to give one breathing room to see if it wants to continue. Right? If it wants to continue to break through that level, and then I just continue just to follow the breaks as they go. But I will not ever use a level as a potential TP. Tends to, you tend to get, I keep saying dig for a wick or something. I forget what you say, right? You're gonna get a lot of like close calls, and it's gonna potentially send you tilt, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to let a green trade turn red. You do not ever want to let a green trade turn red. Do you wait for a retest or pullback to a golden MVG, or do you press once it's created in the direction? Okay, so example of this one, right? This one gave a pullback. So some of you guys know, right? When I say I do my strategic DCAing, right, with quantum levels, like the advanced read. Okay, So anytime there's a A plus plus, right, and I look at the risk, so this kind of be the general idea of how I play, right? So if you look at this initial entry on this 1 minute A plus plus, 24 points risk, right? So guess what? I might enter 1 or 2 micros. If I get a decent enough pullback, I might add one. I might add one more, right? It'll adjust my thing. Or and usually I'll only add 3 or 4 if I'm like, and I'm not gonna really take this 24 risk trade on a serious account. Might be an eval or something I'm working on that. I don't care if I take that L on, right? But if I begin an entry up here and I'm gonna add on a pullback, I already still know where my stop loss is. My entry point might get a little adjusted, and then I'm gonna gun for that 1 for 1. And that's the same general idea with these, right? I see a golden MEG. I know I want it to hold above it, right? So your risk is 13 points. Enter a couple, pulls back, a couple more, get that adjustment, and now my 1-to-1's a little closer, right? If you're going 10.5, go 10.5, potentially catch this nice little pump up for allow a runner to, collect as close to those 30 points as possible, and that's it. All right, here's that fill. So there's your MVG fill. Right, A plus plus. Right, this is a nice repel zone with an A plus plus setup. Repel zone, break and retest. Right, 2 retest points to fill that MVG. Now we're testing that 64 level, which is not something I want to see. Honestly, I don't want to see this test this level because now it's kind of a potentially weak level. But let's see if this MVG holds. If this level can hold, then we continue the push up. If it breaks through, right? If this breaks through, got an advanced read at 828, you have 842, right? None of these have any quantum candles attached to them. The 1 minute would. So the 1 minute would be the lowest point I would want to see this go to. If it gets all the way down here, I don't want to see it break that at all. If it breaks this down here, then it's just very much an indecision market for the night, maybe for tomorrow, where, again, right, expect a lot of chop and range before CPI and before PPI. Red folder news, expect rangy markets, usually the previous days. Same thing with FOMC. When you have FOMC, you're gonna have chop the previous couple days, and then FOMC is gonna be buck wild, and then Thursday we'll kind of have a couple moves, and then Friday will be calm. Usually that's what I see. Yeah, they usually get filled, exactly, Tiffany, right? And that's just a pattern that I've noticed. I see them get filled a lot during New York, not as much during Asia, not as much. But again, it doesn't mean that they don't happen, right? We just saw one get filled. We just literally watched one get filled, right? We just tested that 864 level to the T, bounced up for about 13-ish points. Well, let's see if this thing wants to continue to go or not. Or guess what can happen? We're going to get trapped between these two areas. All right, this 5 minute fails to break that. We're just going to bounce around here until it decides, you know what, let's continue the uptrend, break through that, and then make a new higher high. I've been trying to learn how to play the chop like you do, but I never know when to get in and where to put my stop loss. So easy trades, right? The chop is not easy to learn. I'm going to tell you this because I broke it down because in the course, right, there's market structure involved in good chop if it's not quantum chop. Quantum chop is usually higher time frame range, which is the 5 minute for me. When the 5 minute gets a nice blue and purple back and forth, right? We didn't have one really that got extended. You have this one here, but it broke within 10-15 minutes. This wasn't extended, right? A good chop is kind of when it gets stuck in a certain area. Like I can't get too much, unfortunately, because I did break it down. Like I usually look for certain chop zones, and then I look for reaction, right? That's where I use the DOM, and I look for where the reaction is. Now, power hour, right? There are a couple power hours where I'm like, yeah, every time it hits this level, I'm gonna press long or I'm gonna press short because I can kind of use something like the sauce box plus that chop zone, right? As okay, every time it comes down here, it's just gonna keep bouncing. Like it comes down to this level, I see a bounce, right? And I know it's kind of trapped. So it bounces between this level and this level. But I have to see it kind of touch a couple times and continue to do that. Power hour chop usually starts around 1:30 and then goes all the way to 2:30, 3 o'clock. So I can already, when I come into power hour, I can already gauge if it's a good chop or not. right? You'll see that a lot. That 1 o'clock to about 2:30, or sometimes 1:30 to 3, or sometimes 2 o'clock to 3:30. It varies. But it takes patience. Yeah, my sauce. It takes patience to wait for that chop to form, to wait for the good chop. It is not easy to identify at first. I told my students, right, the chop lesson that I gave is going to be the hardest for you to identify, because a lot of us are impatient to wait for it, right? We want to catch every single chop zone, and it just doesn't happen all the time. When a clean one is identifiable, it is ridiculously easy to play, and the stop losses are very usually very small, very tight, within 10 points usually. We know where we're looking at for a break, and it's almost like the quantum levels, right? You want a 5 minute to hold above a level, but again, right? Let's kind of show an example, right? It kind of got trapped in here actually. Look at this. Let's look at this 5 minute between 640 and, let's say right here, 640 and 705, about 20 minutes. All right, we got that purple up here, and we would have had this blue one clone right here, right? So between 829, didn't make it up to 60, kind of looks like 850. Right, what time was this? 640. Let's go to 640. 640. So about right here, 640. It's very tiny, very, very tight here on the one, right? You can see your 640, 830 right here, right? The bottom of this blue was 829. The top of the purples here on the one were about 850. So again, 830, 844, right? 830, 844. Then it peaked up to 850, then rejected back down to 834, then picked up at 850, and eventually Sydney came in and just kicked it up. Okay? And then you got trapped in here between 870 and 856, right? 870, 856, little peak, and then rejection. And these are hard to find. These are very hard to find, and it's very hard to be patient, right? You had a couple touch points here at 857. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I can't go too. I'm kind of going a little too deep into it. Right, and then each time it does that, I'm just like, okay, eventually it's gonna break. When it does, I'll keep pressing along. Eventually I'm gonna catch a little right up, and then here's where it rejected hard. Right, again, there was zero reaction here. When it pulled back here, a little bit of a reaction, and then it just pulled down with zero. Whenever I see a meltdown like this, you'll see it on the DOM that there's just zero reaction, and you'll get that meltdown, retest, push back, and then eventually just pops back inside of it. Did pull back again. But it is difficult to find. I will say that, right? It's difficult to learn to play the chop. It's not easy. Okay, it is not easy at all. So that's why I don't really tell people, right? Look for the chop, play the chop, right? It's hard to find. It's hard to be patient with it. It's hard to be confident in it. But once you can identify them, it is like just a buffet of points, right? I think there were a couple power hours where we were like, there was like a 5 minute, like a little 5 or 6 minute pocket where we caught like 120, 130 points just off a sauce box and quantum level. Kept bouncing, kept bouncing, kept bouncing. Like every time it comes down here, I'm just gonna press long, and I kept pressing long. I kept catching 20 to 30 points at a time. You know, it's ridiculous when it appears, because I'm like, it can't just keep doing it. It keeps doing it, and then when I finally take the L, I already collected enough points. Like I'm up 120 or 90 or 80 points, and then I take one L, and I'm only, oh, that was like 7-8 point stop loss. Not, it doesn't faze me. Sometimes I see a chop zone, but I can't tell whether to wait for some kind of rejection or press at the level and then just put a 10-point stop. Yeah, and that's the hard part, Easy, right? That's the hard part, is being confident and entering, right? You never want to enter in the middle. You have to be able to identify the bottom and the top, right? You always have to be able to identify the bottom and the top. If you cannot identify a bottom and top, don't enter, period, right? You have to be able, because if you enter in the middle, you're pretty much done. You're going to get chopped in the middle. It's just going to go back and forth. You're going to be like, I'm slightly green, and it's not going where you want it to go. You always want to aim for getting in at the bottom or getting in at the top, but it is difficult for people to be patient to wait for that to develop. And then when it does, sometimes you hesitate, and then you're like, okay, finally I'm going to take it. And that's when you take it when it decides to break out, and then you're like, right? And then you look back and you're like, I see it now. And then I should have done it here, and you don't. So that's why the chop kills, because the chop is not for the impatient. You have to be patient with it. It's not something that appears clean all the time. There are ugly chops, right? And that's where kind of sometimes, right, where you start small, like let me test it, start small, add one more if it pulls back, and then I know where my stop loss point is. I know if it breaks through here, I'm out. If it breaks through there, then I'm out. Yeah. Because I know like people always ask me about like, oh, the chop, how do you kill a chop, right? And again, it's difficult to find, but when it gets stuck between levels and saucebox, that's where I kind of thrive in it. I go into a lot of detail, and I kind of gave a little bit of sauce, a little bit, not too much, I hope, on what I look for. Look at that 5-minute level flipped. But remember, we're still uptrending, right? That 5-minute level did flip. We did get a little pullback to the 840. That level did slightly break. This is the tip breaks I tell everybody, right? Be careful with the tip breaks. That tip break broke 840, right? And then it just flipped right back up. That's a tip break right here. Let me draw that line so you guys can see when I talk about a tip break, right? We don't play the tip game around here. That is a tip break right here. Tippy tip of a candle. Look at the size of that thing. Don't get faked out by these. Do not get faked out by these. And this applies to quantum candles or any level really. Any level you guys will use. Right? Be careful with the size of the candle. Be careful with the break. Because those tips get you faked out so freaking bad. So freaking bad. Getting in too early or late is what kills most of us on the chop. Gotta be patient. Exactly, Dan. Exactly. Thank you. I'll take any sauce you're willing to give. Ketchup, mustard, barbecue, relish, sour cream. Yeah, no, we do give sauce. Some people pay attention and see it, right? Sometimes my students will be like, "Yeah, you gave away a little. You had your this, you had that," and I'm like, I know, but as long as we don't say it, sauce, it usually goes over everyone's head because people half listen. Like people don't always listen during the shows or during some of the lessons because there's instances where I'm like, "Oh, I said a little too much," but I'm like, as long as I don't make it noticeable, nobody knows it's actually sauce. But again, like I love to teach. So when I get into teaching, I really lose myself. And I'll just go on and rant. Like Llama loves to teach too. Llama went into my course and he almost taught like his whole like one of his strats, like the whole thing. And I was like, dude. And I was just sitting there going like, and one of his students was like, damn, bro, you're breaking down for real. And I was like, I know, man, be quiet. He's doing us a favor. But it was awesome. But that's when we get into teacher mode. When we get to teacher mode, we just love to talk about what we love to do. And again, I love freaking quantum, right? Quantum is my baby. That's my number one strategy. Everything I have, I'm always going to have quantum on my chart. Always, right? I have other resources for confluences that I use. That like the sauce box is a huge thing, or the gravity zones now, the repel zones, right? You can see how beautiful they play out when they align. MVGs, the freaking golden MVGs. I've been preaching it for the longest time. I've been telling Max, dude, why do people sleep on these golden MVGs? Right? Because people, again, like they only hear one thing because they were like, just the fills, but they never hear how many times he said the golden MVGs are the precursor to a potential trend flip. Nobody listens, right? And this is what I say when we say things and nobody listens. And we kept preaching it, and finally now it's kind of getting its little bit of rise. Because people have been sleeping on the golden MVGs for so long. And it's just a part of progression, right? You're going to learn, you're going to see it. And when you start seeing it and you start taking the trades, just be confident. Click the button. You start seeing results, right? Whether they're good or they're bad. You're going to learn from the bad. You're going to be like, oh, okay, why did this play not play out? And if you don't know, ask questions. Again, I will always be there to answer questions. If it's not me, it's going to be Scat. Or it's going to be Sam. Somebody will be there to answer questions, right? We do these sessions every Sunday night. I'm going to be doing these every Sunday night. I'm not planning on changing that. The only thing that might change here and there is if I have a family event Sunday night and I'll just reschedule. But we're going to be doing this until I'm 6 feet under. Or I can't. I don't know. Awesome, easy. Javi, do you record the Sunday training? I do, Sniper. I absolutely every single Sunday session I try to record. I might miss one here and there. Usually it's technical issues or I'm an idiot and I forget. Oh my god. Whew, okay. And I am recording this one. I was like, record. Yeah, I hit record. Okay. But I do record. I do record almost all of them. I've tried almost every indicator. I like quantum too, especially how you trade all day long. Like easy. It's like my video game. Like and you guys see my chart. You guys see my content on my social media. That's what I have. That's literally when I'm playing my pros and I'm collecting for the purchases. I'm playing quantum. Like quantum's my baby. Like this is the setups haven't changed for over 2 years. It's been 2 years, right? Quantum is the reason I began this journey. Right? I got those payouts from Tradeify. I went to live with Tradeify in my funded futures. Everything began because of quantum. So I know what I have here, right? And I know it's not easy for a lot of people to learn it because especially if you already come in with certain biases or certain strategies, this throws you off completely. You're like blue and purple candles, like you're just breaking them. It's like what? I'm like no, I have this here and this level there. I'm like no, I can't do that. And then you watch it, you're like well, how does Javi call his levels? MLC. MLC is literally quantum. It's the 1 in 5 minute levels. I was like, how does he do that? I'm like, I'm just reading the 1 minute level. Like, I want to see it retest here or reject here, or okay, it's at this level. I want to see this level hold, and that's it. Like it's literally that simple. But you have to For me, it's okay. I'm going to clear that up. Right? For me, it's simple, right? Because I've played with this strategy for so long. For everyone else, it's going to be a learning curve. You have to be willing to put in a little bit of time to learn the strategy, right? Because it is a strategy. Remember, quantum is a strategy. It has 4 setups, a couple kind of technical setups that I'll go over, like the retracements and things like that. There are a couple of the sessions that we've gone over. Maybe the next one I kind of go over that. But those are very risky. There are high risk setups on quantum that you could potentially take, but they are super duper risky. Right? I don't really break them down. The 4 core ones for me, right? The quantum ranges, the quantum candle breaks, the level breaks and retest, and the A++ setups, usually that lead to the trifecta, right? When the 1, the 2, and the 5 all line up. Those are my favorite setups, right? When I line those up with Confluence areas of interest, okay, Sawsbox, orbs, repel zones, whatever you want to call it. I need to start calling Sawsbox gravity. I keep forgetting I've been calling Sawsbox for so long, it's hard to not call it Sawsbox, right? I add all these confluences together to take setups throughout whenever. Like, wow, look at this thing go. Right, this is not a trifecta. I was gonna see if this was a trifecta, but it wasn't because the 2 minute never gave us a signal. Right, our 1 minute gave us a signal, our 5 minute gave us a signal. Now we have another continuation. Right, you can see where the rejections are. That 5 minute level, that level that formed at 67 flipped, rejected, rejected, rejected. Now we see where I re-added this line. Now we're gonna see if we're gonna go retest this 802 again. All right. Looks like we broke this quantum blue right here as well with that big boy. So this can retest pretty deep. That whole retest candle is pretty big. The 2 minute gave you a nice break and retest. Look at this one. The 2 minute gave you a really nice break and retest. Did it give you your 1-to-1 though? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if it gave you your 1-to-1. 18, 19. Oh yeah, it did. It did. Look at that beauty. Right? The setups are the same on every single chart, every single time frame. They're the exact same setups, right? You can play the 2s, you can play the 1s, you can play the 5s. If you're more patient, you can play bigger time frames. I'm not patient. Zero patience for me. That's why I only play the 1, the 2, and the 5. And look at that retest, right? Again, the breaking candles, your retest. This went all the way to retest the breaking candle up at this repel zone, right? Break and retest it all the way, then rejected. But we need to see it stay below 820 still. Remember, 820 was that previous area that it needed to stay below. All right, that's a tippy tip break. And we need to break through 802, 77, 52, below 52. Then it has some room. 694. But look at this, right? A++ repel zone. Break and retest, right? Break and retest of that blue. Everything looks short right now. It's pointing down. It's absolutely pointing down. Awesome. Thank you, Sniper. Where do we find the recordings, Yorzy? On my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel. I put every single recording of everything I do in there. I'll be going off right now. I know, Dan, I went off. That was a 5 minute A++, right? I'm in it. Just hit 39 points. Yes, this is a 5 minute A++. So was this one right here, right? But this one stopped you out, right? This one was an A++ too. But this one was more, if you look at the size of the candles, right? You see the size of these two? They're a little more equal. This one was more of an impulse on the 5 at 730. So this one was a bit more dangerous. Then this one, right? You see the size of this candle relative to that one, they're pretty close. That's what I like to see. I don't like to see an impulse candle. Same thing on any time frame. I hate to see impulse. This one's kind of an impulse, right? The 1 minute was kind of dangerous, but when I have it like with the when I have this is kind of like the same setup when I'm talking about like the MVG, the golden MVG, repel zone A plus failed bear bullish moves, right? You got two broken quantum candles here. That's almost an instant press short for me, like almost an instant. Just like anytime if this were to have a golden MVG on top of it, right? I'd be like, I wouldn't say full port, but heavier than normal. If I was feeling spicy, all right? If I was feeling spicy. I have a question about the A++. So the cross can happen on the candle before the quantum? Yes. You want it to happen within one candle. You don't want it to happen in front. You don't want it to happen in front of the center, right? You can measure it out. You can see where that crosshair is on my chart. You don't want it to happen in front. You want it to stay behind the candle or within the center, because then it's triggering real time, right? If it happens in front, it's triggering on that candle. So that's a no-go, right? The move's already in progress. Like, okay, like this would have been an A++ this 1 minute, right? But the issue with this one, you're up against a 5 minute level at 67. That's not a good A++ to take. That's not a good A++ to take. All right, this 1 minute setup up here, all right, let's go measure, is not an A++ if you're looking at it. Why? Look at the crosshair, right? Look where this crosshair is. The cross occurred slightly in front of the center. So this candle right here is triggering that signal, not the candle itself. Does it make it a bad setup? No, right? You just take a plus away. It just makes it extra risky because the move is technically in progress, right? But in this instance, what would I personally wait for? This is where I combine, right? When I have sauce box, repel zones, this is where I combine the repel zone retest, and I just use a quantum candle or level as a stop loss at that point. So once I have a break and retest, and just again, right, where I can catch as many trades as I do, right? Then I enter here, use this as my stop loss guide, and catch my trade potential, right? If it does, if it doesn't, oh well, no difference. I will lose a trade, and I'll lose with grace. All right. And we were fighting a 5 minute level, right? The 5 minute level didn't flip just yet, did it? No, I think it flipped over here. So this was a very dangerous short to take until we had that 5 minute break. Once this 5 minute gave you break and retest, this was the better short to take around over here. Still learning to lose with grace, Tick-Tween. It's hard. It is hard to lose with grace. It took me a long time. I was insanely impatient in the beginning. I lost and turned into the great beast of, trading. Like, I wanted to break everything when I took losses. Right? I blew $14,000 payout. My very first payout was going to be 14K, and I blew it because I couldn't lose with grace. I lost my first trade. Like, I know a lot of you are familiar with my story, but it's just like that's the hardest lesson that I learned, was that losing $14,000 that was in my hand. Literally, all I had to do was wait 3 days. I had to wait 3 days, and that money was going to help my family get out of this hole that we were in because of me. And because I couldn't lose with grace, I let it disappear. $14,000 gone in less than 10 minutes because I couldn't lose with grace. That is the hardest lesson I ever learned. And that was the day where I made my shift from minis to micros, never looked back, and the rest is history. So losing with grace is a big thing. That's like the hardest lesson to learn, but I feel like that's the best lesson you will ever learn, is learning to lose. I've been saying that for the longest time because I hated to lose. I was the worst loser ever. My wife knows. She knows. Like, I hated to lose so much. All right, question. Okay, hold on. Thanks for answering all my questions last night. Of course, Francis. Is the quantum strat itself just on YouTube or in the course? So it's in a little bit in both. It's a little bit in both, right? I do kind of go through it in the course as well, how I use it with Saucebox. But the full, like, everything you need to learn about the quantum setups, you can find it on YouTube. Like, every single setup of quantum, it's on my YouTube. Like, there's nothing hidden. about the quantum setups, right? The only thing that's kind of hidden is what turns the candles, those colors. I do give hints in the course. I do give some hints in the course. Okay, if somebody who's super savvy and smart might be able to piece it together, but I do give some pretty strong hints in the course. The action lines, right? That's something that I owe credit to Owen because he's the one that plugged these in for me, right? So I don't know the value of these. Like even if I wanted to, I probably wouldn't even understand it because I was using EMAs, and I go through in the course. I go through my two favorite EMAs. Actually, there's three of my favorite EMAs, and how I used to use those as guide points for following trend and so on and so forth, and how I would watch crosses, right? And that's something I also learned from watching Wolf's guest class and the Mastermind, and I kind of just developed it to my own thing because I look at patterns in a different way. I do look at the chart a lot different, in a different manner than a lot of regular people do. I keep moving my stop. Don't move your stop, Rabbit. You do not want to. That's bad habit to have. You have to be able to take you out, and again, don't be afraid to re-enter if it goes your direction still, right? But again, have rules in place so you don't go tilt and play the same area too many times, right? If you took 2 L's in that area, that's your sign to, okay, you know what? This area not giving me what I need. It's not moving. I'm not reading it correctly. Let me take a break. Let me not take strike 3 in the same area. Let me give my count one last shot to potentially make up some of the losses. If not, if I take strike 3, that account closed for the day. I don't want to see how much I lost in it, because if I do, I'm immediately going to want to make it green. So I'm going to be like, nope, don't look at it. Tomorrow, you won't even see it. You won't even know. And you just do it all over again, right? Sometimes I give it, if I take a 3-strike count, usually I'll give it like a full day of not touching it, because I cycle. I don't copy trade. So I cycle through, and then I'll be like, okay, today I'm trading TPT and Tradeify. Tomorrow, Lucid and Apex. And, I won't even see whatever. If I struck on a TPT, guess what? The next day I'm not even going to see it because I'm not touching TPT. And that helps me. That helps me, right? Each one of you is going to find what helps you. What rule is going to help you control yourself, right? That inner, I am recording on more, that inner demon we called Monica. We call that inner tilt demon Monica, right? Control Monica. Don't let Monica come out and take over and ruin, right, your trades. Don't let it ruin your day. Don't let Monica destroy the progress that you have made. A lot of us will take one bad day or one bad trade, and then we throw everything out the window. All the progress that we made, this is great. I see it. One bad trade, and then we're like, oh, screw this. And we give up. And then we start bouncing around, and then we get even more loss because now, okay, this doesn't make sense to what I just learned here. Does this make sense to me? No, right? There's strategies that aren't for everybody. I know, I'm aware of that, right? I know quantum isn't for everybody. It's just not, right? What makes sense to you? That's what I always say, right? Some people are going to find the rhythm with somebody else, and it's okay. And that's perfectly fine, right? If quantum can add a little added confluence, great. If it doesn't, okay, that's perfectly fine too, right? But I have such a strong confidence in the system because I've made my money off of this system, right? I survived almost a full year from payouts with zero income. Like, I feel like I'm one of the very few traders that can honestly say I survived with nothing but payouts. I didn't have any course. I didn't have any affiliations. I didn't have any coaching until April of 2025, almost towards the end of April. My first payout was October 2024. From October till April, I survived off of nothing but payouts. Nothing. Zero income. I was like less than $1,000 to my name when I bought that Tradeify account. I had nothing. So I know it's achievable, right? But my story is unique to me. You need to make your story unique to you. Don't try to compare yourself with me. I'm in a situation and I need to make it happen like Avi did. No, I need to make it like me. How am I going to figure this out? Right? Am I going to follow my rules and follow my setups? Or am I just going to keep bouncing around and YOLOing and letting the Monica take over and ruin my day and allow, like, my family to see that bad side of me that I don't want them to see, right? Because that was my crutch. Like my kids saw my depression, my anger, my sadness, And I didn't want him to ever see that again. And that 3 strikes I'm out rule, that was what prevented me from ever seeing that side of me again. Protecting my accounts was the key for me. And everybody is going to find that. I know it. Like, I know everybody can find that, but it's up to you, right? We can tell you everything, right? Llama could tell you that you got to get sick of your own shit. I could tell you, right? Just stick to your rules. Logan can tell you to stop being a little biatch, right? Max can just slap you on the side of the head. None of that will do anything unless you are ready to do that to yourself, right? You have to be ready to slap yourself in the head and call yourself out when you mess up. You have to be ready, because there's nobody here. It's just me. It's just me. There's nobody here to hold me accountable. I have to hold myself accountable. So until you can do that, right, you're going to struggle. But does that mean you have to struggle forever? No, you don't have to struggle forever. It's just, man, it's so hard because it's just, the market does the same thing every single day. Chop, range, chop, trend, range, chop. There's just, find your edge, guys. Like, seriously, find that setup. Do you guys have to master every single quantum setup? No, you don't. I try to teach everyone the easiest setup is the quantum breaks. These quantum candle breaks is the easiest ones to learn, but be picky, right? Because some people are not picky, right? They're going to play every single one and not gauge your risk, not gauge your space. And then they're going to be like, oh, I didn't play. Oh, I didn't, and then there's days where it's just like, just printing. And there's days where it just does. And there's days where it can be a little bit choppy and rangy, right? But you have to be consistent with your sizing, your risk, and your setup over and over and over again. So, okay. Well, holy shit, Scat. 60 micros, bro. What are you doing, man? Yeah, that's Monica in full effect, bro. Man, I'm glad you're green, but we got to control that, bro. Dang, man. Scat went full cons in that. That's a 50K. Absolutely, Rosie. Discipline is key. Yeah. And I'll say this, right? Because I scroll through social media, and if you guys are your social media is anything like mine, obviously the avocado thing that happened like a while ago. But I get filled with a lot of trading stuff in my chart, in my Instagram and my stuff. And there's a lot of people that contradict what you think or what you feel. Do not let those people, right, or those words that they say take you off your course, right? Because they don't know you. I don't know you. You might not even know you, right? You have to find it yourself, right? Everyone out there is going to talk crap about each other. Everyone's going to say this person sucks, that person sucks. There's people that are going to defend, right, each person because they're like, you know what? I like this person's style. I learned from that person. He's GOAT. He's my GOAT, right? Max is like, Max is my GOAT. Logan's GOAT, right? I'm some of your guys' GOAT. Logan's a lot of your guys' GOAT. Llama, the same thing, right? We have to respect each other and just be able to enjoy the potential of the fruits together that we can reap, okay? It doesn't matter what style it is. It doesn't matter what your edge is. It doesn't matter what you find that works for you. Whether it's ICT, I know we all make fun of ICT, right? But if there's concepts of ICT that make sense to you and gives you that edge to be consistent, go for it. Like, go for it. Like, I would, if I listened to everybody, I would have never, ever had trust in quantum. I'll tell you this right now. Everyone was saying, no, this is stupid. This doesn't make sense. That's too much. Like, I would have fallen victim to, you know what, they're right, and never done what I did, right? Don't fall victim to that, okay? Trust your process. Find your edge, test it, right? And build a confidence around it. Every single one of you guys can build your own strategy. Every single one. Whether it's based off MVGs, quantum, a range breaker, PHP, P2P, whatever it is. There's so many tools to use that you guys can absolutely just kill it in the market with. And you see what we are capable of doing. You can see what we are capable of doing every day. You see what I do for Power Hour. You see what Logan does for Power Hour. You see what Llama does and Max does for the morning show. You see what Coach and Priscilla be doing. You know what Luca be doing, right? Right? We're not phonies. We're not pretending. It's fun. This should be fun. This should be enjoyable. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it with that, y'all. Dang, it's already late. I ran it a little bit. I ran it a little bit there. I always choke copy trading. Yeah, no, I don't copy trade. I don't copy trade. I don't know. I'm all about that Italian pasta, Luca. Yeah, I still, man, my kids love spaghetti and meatballs, and I have to cool it down for them. Every time I smell spaghetti, I get nauseous. I'm so sorry. I just can't. I just can't with spaghetti. I don't know why. It makes me nauseous. I have to cool it down. I can smell this. I'm just like, all right. Thanks for the rambles. Absolutely easy. Hey, you guys have a great night. I hope everyone picked up a little bit of something, whether some of the psychology rant, right? Hopefully, right? It helps you kind of break out of whatever rut you're in or just helps you get better. That's the whole goal in this whole thing. I want to see everyone find some sort of success in this world because I know it's doable. I know it is, right? You can do this from nothing, but you have to be strict. You have to be insanely strict. And again, right, I don't hate on anybody. I'll never hate on anybody. I love seeing people succeed with whatever styles that they're trading with. And I'm going to just be like, go for it, man. If you're making your bread, just go for it. I'm going to be happy for you. But either way, y'all, good night. I'll see you all again tomorrow for Power Hour. And then we'll do this all over again next Sunday, as usual. All right. So, guys, if you're new, right, have questions every Sunday night. We do this. I try to run through questions. If I missed a question of yours, I'm sorry, right? Ask again next week, right? And hopefully I'll get to it. Or tag me in the quantum chat. All right, so we're gonna do this all over again, and I appreciate y'all. This 5 minutes still shorting. This thing is still going. We're testing the 801 again. So I hope everyone has a safe night. Trade safe, right? Trade safe this whole week, right? We've got news, PPI, CPI. So be cautious. Don't let any news trading or a couple bad swing points, things that happen, just like ruin your day. Any week with red folder news tends to be tricky. All right, so be patient, stay true to yourself. Love you guys. Peace out, everyone. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Good night. Nice guy. You caught the holiday.